Saturday's fight, 6 years in the making. Neither boxer really is in their prime at this point. It's a marquee event. Is it still a marquee boxing match?
Oh, I think it takes today to make it what it is. If it had happened 5 years ago, it wouldn't be half, nowhere near what it is today. It had to be today.
I'll put you on the spot. We got 3 days to go. Who wins this fight, Mayweather-Pacquiao?
I always think that in boxing, it's always the lesser who has a chance, the underdog. Mayweather can, Pacquiao can actually steal 6 rounds from this boxing match. He can steal them, and Mayweather will think, he's not hurting me. Look at me, I'm covered up. And when he go to the judges, there'll be 6 for Pacquiao, 1 even, and 5 for Mayweather, because he'll come on strong in the latter rounds.
All right, let's transition to your post-boxing career, which is really almost as glorious as your boxing career was. How have you been able to make that transition? I know in the ring you were a fierce competitor. You were a tough guy inside, outside the ring. You've transitioned into this very likable, big, almost cuddly figure to the American public. How are you able to make that transformation?
You got to learn to sell. I learned early on. I heard a lady say her dad had told her, if you learn to sell, you will never starve. And you can only sell with a smile. You got to be kind to people. And you got to do it for 24 hours. You can't take off a half hour, or even on an airplane, when someone walk up and say, I need your autograph. You can't say, well, can you give me a minute? You just got to sign it with a smile. I learned that. That's more than I love boxing, I learned this. I love selling.
I know, Dan, you chronicled many of the business success of George in your article.
I was going to say about George that his story is so inspirational to people. I think that's part of it. I mean, he's not boxing anymore, but people remember what he did. Look at Mayweather, Pacquiao. People keep saying the two of them are old. The fight isn't exciting anymore. They're not old. I mean, George was 45 when he became champ the second time. That's something incredible, and I think that carries over nowadays. People see him, even if they're only 20 years old and they don't remember his matches, they know what he did for the sport.
And the money that he's made post-career is so much more than anything close to what you made as a boxer. Dan, I mean, what's that a sign of just a change of the times, or is it really that the personality that he kind of let the American public see, really translated into sales and money?
Well, I think it shows you that if the right person puts their name on the right product, you can have magic. I mean, look at that grill. The story I love that George told me is that when they first sent that grill, he wasn't interested, and it's kind of sat in his kitchen. And then his wife cooked him a burger, and she said, oh, it really works well. And he said, well, let me think about this. And then he told me, I said I'd do it, but I thought that the best thing I'd get was a couple of free grills for myself. I mean, millions, tens of millions of dollars later, the thing is selling strong. I mean, I remember when I went to college, first thing that my parents bought me, got to get your George Foreman grill. And now he's able to take that success and move on to other things and new businesses.
And at 66 years old, there's really no slowing down. I think what caught me in the
No,
article,
you don't want to slow down.
Your mentality. There's always something to be earned. There's always money to be earned. Tell me how you kind of, that kind of ingrained with you post-fighting career.
Yeah, it's the probably more scarier. I'm more scared of hitting the floor without a dream than I am of getting knocked out in the boxing ring. That was frightening, but not as frightening as jumping up in the morning without a dream or a goal to sell. So I'm always thinking of something. I gotta always have something up.
And you still have that fire every day?
Oh yeah, and I get nervous and scared, really frightening. And that's what I got when I left boxing after 10 years. I came back, I was frightened. I said, you're gonna starve. And I've kept that mentality. That's what I really like about myself. I'm afraid to lose again.
Dan, is George Foreman the model for what the modern day athlete should really strive to become post-career?
Well, ideally, but not everyone can make such a name for themselves. I mean, what George and I talked about, and at Fortune we do a lot of this coverage, is the difficulty that athletes have after their sport. They've retired. If they're not a George Foreman, if they're not a LeBron, if they're not Peyton, if they're not Tom Brady, it's very hard to keep earning. So it's a great philosophy of, never stop earning, but not everyone has that luxury. But, George had the story, he has the face, and he really, made himself a brand. That's the map that he gives to others is, try to turn yourself into a marketable brand.
And we've seen you as the face of many different brands, Nike, McDonald's, Meineke, most famously the George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
What's next for George Foreman at this point in your career?
You know what? I'm everything. I'm really just putting everything I can into this George Foreman butcher shop. GFButchershop.com, where I want to deliver food right to your door. food that you design. We'll sell a lot of ribeye steaks and beef and chicken hot dogs and chicken itself. I want to be able to send this food out. You like it, you tell me what you want, and I'll even better it. Finding the right price that everyone can afford. People will tell me, George, we have your grill, but what can we put on it? Now, you'll not ask that question. It's about the meat.
Yeah, and it's making it easy, I
real
guess, for
butcher.
people here. So if I want a strip steak to throw on my George Foreman grill,
It'll fit.
I'm going right to the website.
Yeah.
Say it again, GF Butcher.
gfbutchershop.com. And all you got to get in there, even right in there, put your name on my list, and sooner or later I'll be mailing you out and sending you food delivered right to your door. And that's a dream come true for me.
It's going to be a dream come true for a lot of people getting the steaks delivered right to their house. George Foreman, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much. You can read the article on fortune.com.
Big Dan.